Society on Broadway, presented by City National Bank.
Okay, I know that we weren't supposed to do this, but I'm going to compliment you to begin with and just say that it's a pleasure to be here with you. And I would never have said that behind camera. It's only for camera, I should just say.
I wish I could say the same.
Okay, great.
I'm a little disappointed. No, I already told you off camera that I'm a big fan of yours.
You expected another author, and unfortunately you got an actor.
I'm so glad it's not another author. I'm going to throw a softball, because it was suggested, and I like it too.
Okay.
What does Broadway mean to you?
Wow. I know, this is like when somebody asks you what your favorite film is or something. It began as, I mean, for me as a kid, I would go with my mother to see shows when we'd come to New York, because a lot of our extended family lives and lived in New York when I was a kid. And somehow every time I saw a show, I felt like my heart was just connecting and open in a way that I had never really felt before. And it has become to being even more because of the community of Broadway and the family that I've formed as a result of being in a number of shows at this point. How about to you?
Well, to me, I grew up in New York City. So I had that same nostalgic feeling. It was a filthier and in many ways a much more enjoyable New York City at the time. There was like a little danger to it also.
Yeah.
So going into a theater to see a show also felt like you were coming from one world into another world. Mm. But I felt that same connection it was almost moving even as a kid to see people, live people, and you knew they were doing this night after night, getting up there to give you something, to give you their energy.
A collective experience.
And it's such a collective experience. Last year I did the band's Visit, which is a sort of a quiet show, and just the sense of the energy of the people around me when I was sitting in the audience was so special, and it made me really appreciate being part of theater.
It seems like you're really influenced by films, and I mean, some of your work, but particularly Tootsie, was a film initially.
It's all they're all come from films.
I mean, that's what's so interesting is there is some sort of inspiration from cinema, or your inspiration is from cinema, and then to bring it to the stage. Do you feel a pressure? Because these are classics too.
The guy I wrote Tootsie with felt a lot of pressure the whole time. I didn't feel it, partially because I'm bringing something brand new in songs. I also think that Tootsie's a great, iconic movie, but I don't think it's perfect, especially given that it was made in the 80s. So it's that adaptation and the updating it or the musicalizing it that's really interesting to me. In terms of influence from films, and we can talk about the Donnie Darko musical later. The
Terrifying Rabbit and his soliloquy.
Yeah.
Which I can't wait for.
No, I think it's kind of like maybe like a ukulele kind of ska kind of number.
I'm so in.
Listen, I know we're just talking, but but I love movies. I love movies, and I'm sort of a student of movies. So I'm going to ask you what you bring from the screen to the stage.
I think I've never felt like I've ever fit in anywhere. Sort of a little bit always on the outskirts of the theater, and sort of the same for movies. And that seems like the perfect personality to come on stage, you know, like never really feeling like you fit in fully. I have an adoration for sort of naturalism in a lot of ways, but I also have this profound love for musical theater, which doesn't always tend towards naturalism. To bring the two together, to me, felt like a science project. That's what I love, and the thrill of the challenge of storytelling nightly as an actor, to take what you guys have done and to say, can we do this? Can we thrust this thing, this whole story, all the way through to the end, is a particular type of challenge, whereas I think in film, you're running sprints, like teeny little minutial sprints that...
But in film, you have to make your tonal decisions early on, or else you're going to have a performance that isn't consistent. So you've got to make these, with you and the directors and the other actors, sort of figure out, and I suppose the writers, what the tone should be, right? In a show, you have weeks of rehearsal where you can sort of bumble into, you know, the wrong tone and hit some walls and come back.
Yes. Well, I unfortunately do that in film too.
Okay.
Thank God
Is there
for
any
the editor. Yeah.
Is there film we can watch where we see that bumbling? Like,
well, I'm sure there are many directors who give you a slew of the takes that I did that were just the wrong bumbling. But like, I mean, it is the difference in having an editor really, and then not in that sense of you are not in control of your performance at all. And what I've discovered actually on stage, you really aren't either. Because if someone comes up there and does the same show, you know, a lot of times you can sit in the audience, you can watch an actor, you can see the power of the playwright, you can see the power of the storyteller. Because the laughs come almost always in the same place. Obviously, if you have someone who doesn't have funny bones, which your entire cast does, which is so incredible.
It's a pretty funny cast.
It's just like the amount of time that laughter begat more laughter without even a line between it.
We call it rolling laughter, and we love it. It's the best currency.
It's crazy. It's amazing. And I will say, I have a question for you, because that first song, that like lyrically seemingly impossible song she sings, that is like the
Patter song, What's Gonna Happen?
Which is like the fastest.
Sarah Styles.
Yeah, Sarah Styles sings. How was that created? Like, was that all in one go? Did you add verses and lyrics throughout? I'm so fascinated. You know,
people are always asking questions about the process of writing a song, and for me, it changes constantly. Sometimes it happens in my head, sometimes I'm at the piano. In this case, I think I knew that the character was so high energy and anxiety ridden that a patter song would be a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And
this is a patter song.
It's a tough one to sing.
Like, yeah, it's like
right. It's a meth patter song.
Yeah. I mean, this will get Danny Kaye would get like a run for his money with this one.
Danny Kaye couldn't sing it as fast as she's singing
no
it.
possibility. With the articulation and enunciation, just as a performer, that she does it with.
Oh yeah, when she came and auditioned, it was a no-brainer. We have to hire her. But it's that song. I think I came up with the idea of it's sort of a mambo, like in terms of what the rhythmic structure is, and I just thought it was really funny to do a really fast mambo. And she
actually does change the tempo, doesn't she, at some point?
We do change the tempo on her. It's almost like a trick, like a practical joke. It's so fast you can't believe she's singing it, and then we make her go faster. But let me ask you this: you're doing a one-man turn. You're going to be alone on the stage. It got me thinking about what it means to be up there alone without the support of other actors. Yeah. And really, if that makes your relationship with the audience even more intimate, and also just, is it exhausting? I mean, how is it different than acting in an ensemble?
Well, there are two monologues, two actors. I do one monologue, and then Tom Sturge does another one. So we are an ensemble. So we support each other profoundly. I mean, like, I would not be able to do the show without him. I hope he would say the same thing about me, but most likely not.
He called me and said,
he said no.
It's not.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
One-way street.
I will say that it actually doesn't feel different to me than when you sing a solo or when you're singing some sort of soliloquy on stage. There's an interaction, though you are without music, you are without a downbeat, but there is a similarity. And yes, it is a dialogue with an audience. And that interaction you feel profoundly. And the show didn't really come alive until we were in front of an audience. Anything from an audience that happens is welcomed. And in fact, it's encouraged. And it makes it, there was a moment last night, and I'm curious as to whether or not this is written in your show, where a page of music fell onto the conductor.
It's not written.
Okay.
No, nothing is written to fall onto the actual conductor.
A page of music in the moment fell onto the conductor. He said, "Oh, sorry, imaginary person." He said. And it was so magical.
You can do that in a comedy.
Yes.
You know.
But it was such a magical, alive moment, and the audience. It was actually encouraged the audience. They'd been laughing so much, but to just let go and laugh for the rest of the show.
Yeah. That's when you get some jazz in there.
Yes, you know? And you can feel that.
Yeah.
And that feeling was what it feels like in our show. That things like that happen all the time, and we engage with them, and it becomes alive. It allows us all to sit back and say, like, "Oh, it's okay." So it's not tiring. It's exciting. I find it exciting. I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Do you like actors? No, I'm just kidding.
Not this one, but yes,
no,
usually.
I have because I'm so interested, because all I care about as a performer is when I am speaking or singing or performing somebody else's material. Really all I want outside of the affirmation of an audience and to fill the insatiable hole inside me
Yes,
of
course
love
there's
that
that.
I've always wanted that will never be totally filled.
I got that
is that there is a sense of relief and a bit of awe from the authors and the storytellers that what you're doing has reached their expectations, hopefully surpassed them or shown them something new. And I wonder what that experience is for you every night watching this cast.
Usually, 90% of the time, it's me just loving the person, literally loving them for making me look great. But also, I feel like there's this like very intimate relationship going on between me and them on stage, and I feel like we're both delivering something, you know, something creative, and that's why I like doing theater, is that collaboration and that mutual delivery. Then the other 10% of the time, I'm often going to be like, oh, why did you make that gesture?
Yeah.
Oh, that lyric just got lost, you know. But that's the give and take.
Has there ever been a perfect performance of your material?
Yes, actually,
Okay.
a couple. One was in the band's Visit. Katrina Lenk singing a song that I wrote called Omar Sharif is probably the most perfect delivery of a song that I've written, at least for my opinion. And then I actually think Patti LuPone singing this song from Women on the Verge called Invisible. Those are the two that stick in my mind, and someday I'll get them both with my band singing each other's song.
Oh, wow.
I would like to do that.
That'd be so
Thanks
cool.
for that question. That's a
Yeah.
good one. It's been really, really nice
Yeah,
talking to you.
same.